Welcome to the third episode in a Legendarium series about the history of astrology. In Part 3, A Medieval Renaissance, we will talk about the revival of astrology during the 12th century Renaissance. Astrology revived during the 1100s because of an increasingly stable climate and growing contact with Southwest Asia. The latter meant that European scholars could study Islamic translations of ancient Greek texts. During the 9th century, an Islamic scholar named Abu Masar wrote The Great Introduction to the Science of Astrology, one of the foremost works on the subject. It has preserved a treasure trove of information on how the stars and planets supposedly governed worldly lives. He also made a scientific discovery not rooted in astrological beliefs but scientific fact. In his work, Abu Masar wrote extensively about the effect of the moon upon the tides in Southwest Asia and North Africa. His work helped to influence European scholars in generations to come. These European scholars agreed with their Islamic counterparts on one key issue, the Ptolemaic model of the universe. Christian scholars modified the old Ptolemaic model to include 10 crystalline spheres. Of course, the Earth stood at the center of these spheres, and in order, the spheres included the Moon, the 7 known planets, the 9th sphere contained the fixed stars, and the 10th contained the wandering stars, such as comets. Beyond the 10th sphere, God and his angels dwelled, keeping the spheres rotating in divine harmony. Based on the available technology, the Ptolemaic model provided a simple and logical explanation for what people saw and reconciled it to Christian teachings. Dante, whose Divine Comedy concludes with his protagonist seeing heaven, envisioned God as 3 concentric rings that represented the 3 parts of the Holy Trinity. This model of the universe would endure until the scientific revolution of the modern age. The 12th century scholar Adelard of Bath translated many alchemical and philosophical writings. Adelard believed that knowledge of astral magic and astrology allowed a person to accomplish almost anything, from finding love to ridding his hometown Bath of scorpions. Unlike later scholars, Adelard thought incantations and incense played a role in one's reading of the stars. Adelard's translations also scandalized Orthodox religious opinion by introducing the concept of Egyptian demon worship. Scandal or none, an emergent middle class sought out literacy, and universities began to appear across medieval Europe's great cities. Astrology took its place in the curriculum since medieval people saw it as a serious science with practical purposes. For example, medieval doctors believed that each sign of the zodiac influenced a certain part of the body. Pisces ruled the feet, Aries governed the head, and Scorpio reigned supreme over the private parts. Medieval barber surgeons treated patients with chronic stomach pain by using bleeding. However, if the moon entered its Virgo phase, they would rule out any such surgery since Virgo both ruled the stomach and augured ill for any kind of surgery. Medicine also associated certain afflictions with certain signs. Gemini was associated with accidents and problems of the arms. Virgo came to be associated with worms and bowel-related disorders. Capricorn ruled over leprosy and other skin diseases. Physicians often drew up a patient's star chart to assist in diagnosis and treatment plans. A doctor named William the Englishman even developed a particular theory of uroscopy, since looking at urine was a major technique of medieval doctors. William claimed that he could cast a patient's astrological chart so well that he could determine the state of his patient's urine without even looking at it or smelling it. Of course, even in his own time, medieval doctors saw William's claims as highly dubious. Yet, one astrologer gained fame by using the stars to predict not illness, but the future. Guido Bonatti lived in 13th century Italy and became the preferred astrologer for aristocratic families. Even in his own time, Bonatti's family had become infamous. Legend told that his father lived to be 107 years old, and one of Guido's uncles supposedly lived to the age of 120. Rumor held him to be a hot-headed man who played pranks on women, and his mother supposedly knew a lady who gave birth to a cat. During his career, Guido guided some powerful men, including the Holy Roman Emperor Friedrich II. He also advised the Florentine nobility during their struggles against the Pope, then locked in a battle with Guido's patron, the Emperor. Likely because of this, Dante Alighieri condemned Guido to the 8th circle of hell, reserved for fortune-tellers and astrologers. Despite Dante's dislike for Guido Bonatti and his craft, even the Church stressed astrology as a serious science, distinct from the superstitions that some held about the stars. However, the upcoming scientific revolution would cast all of that into doubt. That wraps things up for this episode of the Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.